Go live. All right, folks. Welcome to the Coaching Crew Show. Assuming you're out there, this is our first ever live broadcast. So we're trying things for ourselves for the first time. Uh, to I guess your viewing left, maybe you're viewing right. I don't know. We'll find out. That's Phil, aka Tantor. Some of y'all know me as Coach Kraus. Some of you know as me as Charlie. Some of you might know me as it's that other guy or that guy. Swipe left or swipe up. Let's keep moving. So welcome to our first live stream. We're gonna go from there. Right now, it looks like we have a total of 0 viewers. That's okay. We'll get some clicks later, uh, and just have some fun with this. And we're gonna talk college football for starters. And Phil and I each week. First off, we are members of the FWAA. We are voting members of the Football Writers Association. We do get votes on and submit our nominees for all those awards not named Heisman that nobody pays attention to. We do get those votes. We are voting members, and we do put a lot of time into this stuff. We each have our own top 25. I'm going to share now our top, our each of our top tens, and we're going to just go through that and just real briefly discuss that. So, looking on screen, as you can see, our top four both are pretty much identical. We both have Georgia and Michigan as our 1-2 or 2-1. We both have Florida State at 3. We both have Ohio State at 4 if the season was to end today. So, Phil, I mean, very rarely do you and I actually agree on stuff. So, why are
And when
we,
we do, we're wrong.
yeah, and so why are we both seeing pretty much identical on the top four?
I think it's completely 100% obvious. I think Michigan's a better team than Georgia. You think Georgia's a better team than Michigan. But Florida State's for real. Ohio State's for real. But that'll all take care of itself. Michigan and Ohio State play each other, and we'll see how that works out.
What I'm really liking is I want to move 6 up. I want to move Oregon up. I can't wait to move up Oregon up.
But
And
I watched that Oregon Washington game when they played, and that was a real good game. It was a barn burner there. So I have to put Washington just above Oregon since they beat them. But
I
if
agree.
I'm not mistaken, they'll play again in the championship game, and that's going to decide that. Look, the way that this is all going to work out, it doesn't matter where you're at from teams 7 and up. The schedule takes care of itself.
It
The
does.
first round of the playoffs is Michigan, Ohio State. That's playoff game number 1 that they play next week, right?
2 weeks. I think the
Yep.
Thanksgiving noon game or the Thanksgiving Saturday noon game.
Yep. The second game of the playoff is Georgia versus Alabama in the SEC championship game. Loser goes home. I'm sorry. That's the first round of the playoffs in Tantor world. Loser goes home. Winner goes to the 4 in the playoff. Florida State, unless they really screw up, is going to make it into the Final Four. And then the winner of Oregon Washington in Tantor world makes it.
And see, here's what's scary, folks. Phil and I don't ever agree. And when we do, oh my gosh, bad things happen. And he and I are
Usually
seeing
me
this.
losing money.
Yeah, he and I are seeing this identical right now. The winner of the SEC is going in. The winner of the Big Ten, assuming Iowa doesn't win 6-3 over somebody, is going
4 to
in.
3, dude. Could
All
be
right,
4 to 3.
sorry. The punter stepped out of the back of the end zone.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Florida State, we both see as possibly going to be the one to go through. And then the Pac 12 representative, which I think is going to be Oregon on a neutral field. And we'll see. And teams like Missouri, great job making the top 10, but you're not going to get in. Alabama, you're going to have to win and win impressively to jump Georgia. I think you will. If you beat Georgia, I think you're in. But you can't lose to Auburn in 2 weeks, that's for sure. Because then Alabama, you're 100% out. And I know teams like Texas is rooting for Alabama to lose to Auburn and then Alabama to beat Georgia. Because there's some crazy scenarios still out there, and we've seen crazier happen. So, I mean,
We have, but the top 8 teams in the country right now, they're head and shoulders above everybody else.
agree. And I mean, Phil, I mean, I'm going to say this, and we'll let you come. I'll reel you back in a couple of seconds. But I mean, you got a game in 2 weeks where you could possibly play spoiler. So,
In all honesty, it doesn't matter what happens in that game in 2 weeks with Tech playing the Dogs. All that matters is what happens with the Dogs in Alabama. The winner of the SEC, regardless of what happens, they're going to go in. That is the toughest conference in the country, and no apologies whatsoever to Big Ten fans. You got a great conference. The Pac-12 has a great conference this year, and quite frankly, I've enjoyed watching the Big 12 this year too.
I love the Big 12. We are both huge fans of the Big 12.
I've watched a lot of their games. I love it.
If you look at the standing line in the Big 12 right now, there's so many teams still trying to fight for that the bowl burst. You got BYU at 5 wins. They've been stuck on 5 wins since about the 5th week of the season. You got UCF, who's up to 5 wins. Texas Tech is at 5 wins. Houston and TCU still technically are bowl eligible if they win out. I don't know if they will or not, but the Big 12 storylines are great, and that's just the middle tier, if you will.
Phil, I really like that UCF Cinderella story after them starting the season just horrible. And they've been playing better and better and better and started winning games and stealing my money all season long. And now I want them to win. I want them to go to a bowl game. I want them to do well.
I do too. Or just Phil, a few minutes ago, your buddy at Rec Talk is already mad at you for saying that the Georgia Tech game doesn't matter. So just
the only person that matters are the Tech fans. That's the only ones that matter because we don't want to hear UGA fans talking shit for the next year. And that just pisses me off to listen to them run their mouth. But in all honesty, Georgia could lose against us and turn around and beat Alabama the next week, and they're going in to the playoff. It's just what's going to happen.
You're right. I mean, unfortunately, I get it from 2 teams as well. I get it from Georgia and I get it from Alabama. So I can relate to you in the Auburn world.
Well, we've already discussed. Usually we have this show over the phone or over text wars. So this week we just decided to have this show and let everybody else sit in on our arguments that we have during the week. And I think we both agree that the worst fans in the country are UGA fans.
Absolutely. All right. So that is the game. That's our top 10. The new CFP rankings come out tomorrow, Tuesday. I think it's a 9:45. It's in between the college basketball games. Every year in college basketball, they have the 4 headliners: Sparty, Kansas, Duke, and Kentucky. Play a little round robin each year with each other, and I believe it's either Indianapolis or Chicago. And at halftime, they release the new top 25 rankings from the CFP committee. So that'll be tomorrow night in between the 2 games, between the 7 and the 10, or the 8, the 7 and 9, however they work it. All right, moving on in the world of college football. 3 coaches have been added to the list that have now been asked to not work here anymore. The Boise State coach Amada got relieved of his duties yesterday. Earlier this morning, yes, it's a harsh sport. It's a harsh, and especially in the SEC.
It's a business. And I've mentioned before,
Arnett.
Anybody that would put their livelihood and the livelihood of their families on the backs of 18 to 22-year-old males in this country is insane.
So Arnett, well, you can say he got a raw deal because he took over from Mike Leach, had to save recruits in like 0 amount turnaround time, and then had to play a different style because Leach is one of his own. So you can say, Arnett got the raw end of a deal, but it doesn't matter. You're in the SEC, results matter, and whether it's 1 year or 5 years that you get, that's your chance. And then the big, huge one is Jimbo, who still has 76 million reasons to be happy because I believe, and I've looked at the payout schedule, he's owed like 25% of the 76 million like immediately, another 25% of the 76 million by next year, and then over the next 10 years after that, he's owed the remaining 50% of the 76 million. He ain't going to be hurting for any steak dinners anytime soon, but he's had 0 national championships, 0 college football appearances, 0 SEC championships, 0 SEC West appearances, and half of the times he can't beat his arch rivals. He had some big wins, but at the end of the day, they're not paying for you to do less than what Kevin Sumlin did in the same 6 years time frame. So I understand that. And yes, he is now the modern day Bobby Bonilla. Thank you, Nerd Stop, for the comment. He is now the modern day Bobby Bonilla, if you will. So Jimbo's out. And listen, here's my take, Phil. I'm sure you're 1,000,000% in agreement on this, that why they're pulling the trigger today and not pulling the trigger 3 weeks from now, what used to be known as Black Monday, is because they want to save recruits. They're trying to save recruits. They've already got a short list created, and we're going to talk about short list in a couple of seconds. They've already got a short list created of who they want next, but they've got to go through the interview process, go through all the steps and appropriatenesses that take place, find the coach that they want, bring them in, and then save any potential recruits. Because on December 20th, I believe is the exact day, is the National Letter of Intent, NLI day, where recruits announce where they're going to be coming to school for the next year, and it's where the recruiting rankings take place. So there's a lot of work to be done in the short time that is November and December. So any jump you can get ahead on this, I believe that's why you're seeing pull the trigger now. And the rumor mill dropped yesterday about Sam Pittman, but they still haven't pulled the trigger. So I'm wondering why Arkansas has not gone ahead and moved forward with this, even though the writing's out there. So if you're going to fire somebody at the end of the season, do it now and help your program now.
Yeah.
I don't know, Phil.
Well, you have to do it because of the recruiting. In college football, it's all about the Jimmies and the Joes. You have to have the players or you're not going to be successful. So you have to get them. You have to get a new staff in there to solidify your recruiting base before that early signing period where they hit on it. So it has to be done. Jimbo shouldn't work again. He should just really stick at the Texas A&M and collect their checks and hang out by the beach for a while.
Well, and the running joke I heard is he's a future livestock auctioneer by the way he talks. So if y'all have ever heard Jimbo talk, you know he talks really fast and he just really can't relate to his recruits. And so he's always just talking really fast. And then he hires Bobby Petrino as the new OC. And still things just didn't work out because 8-4 is the new standard at Texas A&M and College Station, even though we said 110,000 and we're in the large stadiums in the South and we just can't get things so going. So we still can't figure out. And clearly oil money's not good enough. So there we go. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know who all Jimbo still has alimony or child support payments to.
But you know what? Texas A&M, they can hire whoever they want. Nothing's going to change the fact that they're the little brother to UT.
And that's going to be an interesting factor starting on July 1st. Great point. So, and I know Texas A&M was not happy that they had to vote yes to make it a unanimous vote welcoming in Oklahoma and Texas, because that was the whole reason they left the Big 12 was to get away from Texas A&M from UT to hook them. So
wouldn't it be great for the SEC to slide Auburn and Alabama over to the East?
Well, it's 16. They got away from the divisions, but if they did create the divisions, you could almost have an SEC North, an SEC East, an SEC South, and an SEC West.
Then you would have to have 4 you'd have to have an extra round of playoffs, and you can't do that in the way things worked out.
Yeah.
There's going to be another shoe to drop within 5 years where the NCAA completely takes the Power 5 schools, and they're going to form something different.
And you're going to see some more of the G5 schools moving up. It's not just going to be SMU.
Yeah.
There's other schools in the mix that within the next, I'd say, we'll put it at 9, not less than 9 years. So by 2032, there's going to be more teams up in the P5 level if you can even use the phrase P5 anymore. So, all right. Well, those are the firings from today or yesterday that have happened. Here is now the coaching vacancies. If you remember back all the way before week 0, Northwestern fired Pat Fitzgerald. I almost forgot about that. When I was doing my preseason rankings and my preseason predictions, I put Northwestern at like 2 wins this season. Well, guess what, folks? Northwestern's 5-5. They're 1 game away from the bowl. So when we talk in a few minutes about who should be hired there, the interim coach at Northwestern, you should get that job. I'm impressed. We know what's going on in Michigan State. They're gonna. Golly, that's a mess to clean up. It seems like it's always a mess to clean up. Boise State, Michigan, Mississippi State, Hail State, and then Brady Koch announced he is retiring at the end of the season. I'm kind of wondering if that was a forced retirement as compared to just wanting to retire. But how do I feel about the specifics of the hazing at Northwestern? I mean, that it's not the 1970s and 80s anymore. It's just the new way of college things, and you can't be at a position of leadership and say you didn't know. That's just no longer an excuse. And I don't know the extremes of what happened and didn't happen versus hearsay versus whatever. I'm not going to speculate of the actual situations and wooden bats and all that kind of good stuff. But if you are in charge of these kids at the end of the day, it's your job to know, and your coaching staff has to report that stuff and just clean that stuff up immediately. It's just the new world we live in, and it's where we are at. So that's my opinion on that. But
let's face it, Northwestern is a freaking minefield. I mean, aren't they trying to unionize the football team and be employees of the school and everything else? Who wants that crap?
Them in Dartmouth.
Yeah. So Northwestern, it's a real bad job. You need a coach really bad. So I have a really bad coach. Jeff Collins is available.
Thanks. Someone had already said, "Hey, Jeff Collins is available if Texas A&M is looking."
Good Lord. He could sell a car down there to everybody.
All right. So was there ever a time where hazing was okay? No, I don't think hazing was ever okay, but it was understood. That's just part of the process. And it's one thing if you get duct taped to a goalpost and get water thrown on you, or you have to carry everybody's bats or carry everybody's shoulder pads from the practice fields into the locker room for a week. You know what? Those things, I personally, I don't see that as hazing. Well, the duct tape to the goalpost maybe, but when you start doing things to stripping the person naked and doing things from there,
that's just a Tuesday, dude.
That's might be a Tuesday, but you know what? That involves police reports, and police reports are a major no-no. So that's my opinion for that. All right, but like I said, we got 6 schools now that are looking for coaches, which leads to this rumor mill. There's at least 3 names on the tier 2 level that they're getting some press love, whether they want it or not.
Was your boy Jamie Chadwell tired of the party scene and
Liberty
and no name Virginia
and Liberty Bibberty? I mean, that's Byron territory. Byron probably scared him out. Byron went to a game earlier.
If he showed up on my porch, I'd be scared too.
Yeah.
He's got those damn Popeye forearms from being the national champion in basement arm wrestling. That'd be terrifying. It's like, where'd these forearms come from?
And let me tell you, the Coastal fans are loving it that Jamie's name is popping back up, because sometimes he's good about shooting down rumors. Other times he loves taking the bait. And there's a name I'm going to bring up in a few minutes about it. But then,
did Coach Chadwell not go to church enough?
I don't know. But Vegas has him, Phil, at 3-1 on the Mississippi State job.
Don't take it. He can make just as much money at Liberty. He just go back to Liberty. They'll add another $2 million on a year because they got more money than God. I think
they
get
do.
Their money
and with the way they run their school, you can be online everywhere, and they charge you full admission price.
They can recruit. They can do whatever they want. It's pretty much a free reign there.
As far as the three here go, I think the hidden gem of these three is actually Lance Leipold for Kansas.
I know my buddy that from Kansas thinks it is. I mean, he loves the guy.
Well, year one, which was last year, he was hired Memorial Day weekend, and he took them to a bowl game.
He's won everywhere he's been. He's won in D3. He's won. I mean, he's
Buffalo.
won everywhere.
Yeah, he was huge in Buffalo.
Yeah. How can you win in Buffalo? I've been to Buffalo. I left.
Yeah. And then from the Auburn coaching tree, the Auburn fans, if you're watching, I'm sure you're loving this one. Rhett Lashley as well. Where, yes, SMU is one of my favorite betting teams. And when we get talking about that, we'll have some fun with Rhett Lashley as well. But his name is popping up on the potentials. But then, Phil, the name that seems to be already circling the internet more than any of those three, because Texas A&M is opened, from SEC country itself, our buddy who loves to flirt with the job openings, Lane Kiffin.
That doesn't surprise me. Lane, well, number one, Lane can't stay one place too long. The lawyers track him down, angry husbands, the whole works. Lane cannot. Lane can't stay in one place too long.
Did you see that press conference earlier this year where the reporter said, "Hey, a lot of people said you and I look like each other, that I could be your son," and then he goes, "Who's your mom again?" You know what? I mean, Lane can coach offense. Lane's good on a bad year. Lane's good for 7 wins. On a good year, he's good for about 9 or 10 wins. He does something right. I don't know if he'll ever push you over, because there's that whole defense thing.
No, the defense is what somebody else does. Rec Talk wants to know why Deion's not on the list. Deion. Look, he won't go anywhere else because his sons have already used their free transfers. So they have to use their eligibility in Colorado. Deion will not leave them behind.
And then, did you see this, Phil, on Twitter today? On 3.com reported that the 2025 number 1 wide receiver recruit just decommitted from Colorado because, this is the quote, "Deion's not going to be there in 2 years by the time I get there."
I don't think he'll be there as soon as his quarterback son is gone.
I think you're 100% correct on that. I just don't know how much longer. Is he a redshirt freshman? Is he a redshirt sophomore?
No. I don't know. I don't want to guess, but I thought he was a junior, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, so he's a junior. And then Travis Hunter as well, probably is NFL bound maybe as early as this year.
Might be next.
I mean, Phil, I'm going to let you have the moment of the spotlight because you have the quote memorized. Deion Sanders' all-time number 1 quote when he was a senior at Florida State.
I don't have that one memorized.
Yes, you do. You're the one that told me.
I can't remember.
Bragging about having a 0.0 GPA.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that one memorized, but yes.
So, I don't know if the what are they moving to, the Big 12? I'm sure they're going to have
Yeah, they're
some
moving to Big 12.
academic standards they're going to have to uphold. I don't know how long Dion's going to last, but out of those jobs are the ones that are currently open, and I'm sure there's more coming. There's definitely more coming because there's definitely Arkansas's coming, much less, Moose, whatever. I don't know which one's the most attractive job besides the oil money from College Station.
I'm not taking a job in the SEC West until Saban retires. I mean, bottom line, every school out there expects to win, and no one can beat Saban. So,
and now you got Kirby as well.
Yeah, and then you go to the East, you got to beat Kirby Smart. Nobody's beaten him yet either. He hadn't lost in 3 years until next week. Yeah, Brett Key's going to beat him.
What, they get the coin flip right?
Yeah, all he beat Dave O'Sweeney he has a better fake punt play.
So I put this question out earlier to several to a bunch of group of people. Who leaves their program? I said leaves, not gets fired. Leaves their program first. Chip Kelly, Harbaugh, or Dabo?
Saban's not retiring soon. Dabo's not leaving until Saban retires, and he'll go to Bama. So we'll rule him out. Harbaugh's got so many offers from the NFL that I think he might go first because he might just get tired of all the BS he has to go through. If he wins the Natty,
he's gone.
He's gone.
I'm actually rooting for Michigan right now to win it. Them and Oregon.
I wouldn't mind that. As long as it's not Georgia. I'm so freaking sick of – you're sick of Alabama. I'm sick of Georgia. So, yeah, if Oregon could win, well, you want Bo Nix to win. I mean, how old is he, 32?
Well, I mean, coming from Stetson Bennett, who had like 6 grandkids, or at least the 6th one was on the way when he won his 3rd national championship, it felt like. I don't know. But no, Bo's in his final year. But yes, I wouldn't mind.
He's in his 4th COVID year?
Yes. Golly, next year is the final year of the COVID years. So if you were a redshirt freshman or a freshman, this is your senior year, and then you get your bonus COVID year next year. So after next year, we don't have to talk about that ever again. So,
but I wouldn't mind Michigan winning, just to shove it right up the Big Ten and just give it to them.
And
then Harbaugh leaves, the program just completely collapses like a deck of cards and on a card house, and boom, it's gone. And we don't have to deal with Michigan anymore. We don't have to deal with the whole freaking state of Michigan. I mean, Michigan State is a disaster too. So,
and listen, I'm an SEC homer, always have been, always will be. Phil lives in the heart of SEC footprint, but it also sides with the ACC. My new role is in the Sun Belt Conference. I don't believe in the Big North. I just don't. But at the same extent, hey, the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the Fighting Eric Peox, I will root for them. Anybody who has a gray field and tries to take a hammer and smash through some cinder blocks to enter the field and can't do it, you got to root for the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the gray on gray. So, but yes, I'm also part of the Surf Turf with Coastal Carolina. We got a good friend who has Boise State connections, and he's on the Smurf Turf. So there are other schools out there that we do root for. But
Gold Field. Rec Talk wants a Gold Field at Georgia Tech. That's a hell of an idea there. All right. We'll put some money down on going to call it the Gold Field Parlay this week. And if we win, we're going to donate it to get us a Gold Field. That'd be badass.
Or be like LSU or Oregon, and just your every 5 yards is a different shade. That will really screw them up.
We could go alternating navy blue and gold.
That will really screw them up.
Yeah, it would.
And it would be as fugly as possible.
Oh, no. And we're going to change it. We're going to go by meters.
All right, look, we don't do things in the British way. We drive on the left-hand side, not the right-hand side, and of the car. We say yards. So we're not going metric system. All right. Well, we're transitioning. It's been 30 minutes. We're already halfway through our show. Thanks for watching so far. We're up to a record high 12 live viewers. Woohoo!
Hey, for the first show.
Growing. So make sure you are subscribing to us at Coach Crew Show on YouTube so you can stay up to speed with Phil and myself. I also am a little bit more active on other platforms like Instagram and Twitter, and then, believe it or not, even TikTok.
You won't see me on any social media platform until I die, and then the crew will put me on there just as the last final parting gift joke.
Actually,
social media is my middle finger
to
society.
Phil, I'm gonna see if you can understand this obscure reference. Walter Matthau, is that his name? From Bad News Bears.
Oh yeah, he was also, date myself, but he was the Odd Couple, the original Odd Couple,
and Grumpy Old Men.
Yep.
But the running joke on his gravestone was his final sports wagering enthusiast bets of his life were on the back of his gravestone of who he picked that weekend to win and cover. So I could see that with you as well.
Well, that could be. I'm thinking about not placing another bet this year because once I cleared my future bet with Georgia Tech last week, thank you, UVA. I'm now up for the year with my week 1 winnings, and I haven't won since. But now I am, and as far as money goes, I'm on the plus side. I'm on the ups. I should quit now while I'm ahead and just go that way.
And that's pretty impressive given the fact
that I've lost 7 weeks in a row.
Yes.
And that's not a joke either. I've lost shitload of money 7 weeks in a row.
Yes, because Georgia, I assume, is a no bet state. Is that correct?
Yep.
So because Georgia is a no bet state, I may or may not get to see Tantor's weekly bets.
Except for the weeks I go to Biloxi or Vegas.
Yes. And needless to say, they are not anything worth bragging about.
Dude, I picked 7 losers. I was 0-7 that week against the spread. That's impressive. You can't do that on purpose.
So right now, I am 12-3-1 ATS for my season, which is amazing if you know me, because Phil and I have this running joke about me. I am the KOD. I have been the KOD my whole life. I am phenomenal of cursing your team. If I pick you to win, I can guarantee you take everything the opposite, and you're going to become a rich, happy person. Well, this year, magically, I am 12-3-1 right now in college football.
That's because you get to see what I bet, and you take
I make my bets. Way. I make my bets on Wednesdays and Thursdays. You send them to me on Friday, and then
you're not supposed to talk about the how to make sausage, dude.
And then you and then you get the text from me. God damn you, Phil! And you took the bet that I'm making. I know I'm going to lose
Based
it now.
on our live cast now, never rob a bank with Coach K.
Yeah.
He's not your wingman when you make your drug deal either.
No, not at all. So anyway,
that's why I use your son as the wingman when I make drug deals.
Yeah.
And then my son, what the hell? Keep it in
little Timmy can be the front man.
Kid's got connections.
So I think I'm doing pretty good. 12-3-1 overall on my spreads. The teams that I really have took to early was Oklahoma and Oregon. As of late, I was big on SMU, And then I found teams throughout, but I tell you what, there hasn't been that one go-to team I always have every year, and I can just feel like win or lose, I can predict them pretty well. But something's working for me. I don't know what. So
Well, the Kiss of Death parlay is 100% losing this season.
yes.
And, I've really ruined a lot of fans of UVA and Alabama's wishes this year by betting on them so that they don't cover. And that makes me happy inside.
And folks, he's being serious when he does that because he'll send it to me and it'll say, I'm just placing this bet just to screw Clemson, Ohio State. And he'll list out the teams, Notre Dame. I'm like, Phil, I picked Notre Dame this week. Why are you doing this to them?
I love seeing Alabama fans in line for food stamps because their bet didn't pay off because Alabama didn't cover. It makes my heart, it just does good things for me.
Dude, let me tell you, it was great. The first 5 weeks of the season, Georgia was 0-5 ATS.
I know because I was betting on them to cover. I was killing them. I was killing Georgia fans this year. I was one happy dude. I said, I'm putting $100 down on Georgia this year when I was in Vegas to win the Natty, just so they wouldn't do it. And it'd be the best $100 I ever spent. Having Georgia win the Natty 2 years in a row, even paying off my trips, that sucks. So this year, I know since I bet on them, they're not freaking winning.
I hope you're right.
I am right. I know it. Have I won anything else except for the first weekend and Georgia Tech going over?
You did win an Oregon State cover for $10 to pay out $9.09.
Yeah. Well, and okay. No, I didn't. That was Timmy.
Oh, all right. Well, little Timmy won.
Because it's Oregon State, and he loves ukulele.
Hey, that might be one of the best games this weekend. Washington at Oregon State. That could be a watch out for.
I'll watch it. It's going to be on late.
Yeah.
It'll get home. When I get home from the Syracuse game about 2 a.m., it'll be just finishing up.
Hey, West Coast Chris will be watching it. I'll tell you that much as well.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know West Coast Chris, I can't talk more about him, but he loves those West Coast. First off, he's up on that, and it's something we call make-up bets. And he loves the make-up bets. He loves the West Coast games. And, yeah, West Coast Chris, he's an East Coast guy, but he's West Coast Chris. Let's just say like that. So we got some other topics we want to talk about. We're into now the 35th minute plus of our initial show. And so there's other topics that we try to cover, and we want to just briefly go over each of the following.
We're not going to mention Michigan?
Oh, golly, we haven't done that yet. All right, let's do that real fast. Thank you. All right, so Phil and I have probably
because I'm a hater.
Different point of view on the Harbaugh cheating video recording situation.
Dude, he ain't cheating. If you're not cheating, you're not trying to win.
And who doesn't record hand signs these days?
I have done everything that they're accused of. I've done it. I've done it in Georgia high school. I've not done it for Georgia Tech for any asshole out there going to report it. No, I do not work for the Georgia Tech program. Georgia Tech doesn't take me seriously. And of all the parents that I've made butt sore this season, Georgia Tech coaches don't give a shit what Tantor says, okay? But I have done every single thing that they've been accused of. It's common sense. You scout your freaking opponent. You do it. And it doesn't matter if you've got their hand signs or anything else. You could look. If I was in the NFL, I'd figure out how to tap into those damn headsets, all right? And if I couldn't tap into them, I'd be freaking jamming them. Because I'm going to have any type of competitive advantage that I can think of. I mean, Lawrence Taylor used to send hookers to his opponent's hotel rooms before games. It's what you do. It's gamemanship. Anything you can do to give you an edge is what you have to do. And if you're not trying to get an edge, you don't want to win bad enough.
Hey, folks, I'm going to date you on this reference. Some of you might know this, some of you might not. But the way that colleges used to work a million years ago, when my parents, a lot of viewers, possibly your grandparents, were in college, the fraternities and just whomever, they would figure out where your opponent was staying, what hotel they're staying at, and then get in their cars like by the 20 load for an hour each, just driving around honking their horn nonstop all hour, and then a new group would come in, and for the next hour they would circle around, just keeping you awake all night. That's gamesmanship.
Dude,
Michigan is gamesmanship.
remember when Louisville used to come to Richmond back in the 80s? I've pulled a fire alarm in the middle of the night at a hotel.
The old fire alarm. Oh yeah, how many times have you heard that? The old fire alarm.
I think the statute of limitations has expired on that one. But you've got to do what it takes to do to win. And I hate to say this, but you can know their plays. If the other team can execute, it don't matter what you do.
You know what? Is that the old Larry Bird talk smack? I'm going to tell you exactly where I'm going to go, but you got to stop me. Everybody in the gymnasium or arena knew what Larry Bird was going to do, but stopping him was the next trick. So
yeah, you can't do it. Look, back in my coaching for the Richmond City Rec League, the Department of Recreation, I went and scouted the number one team in the league. They ran 3 plays. They ran quarterback sweep left, quarterback sweep right, fullback up the middle. And you knew what they were going to run because that's the side they put their fullback on. I knew what they were going to run, when they were going to run it. And I couldn't freaking stop it. We lost 42-0. It didn't matter.
It's not the X's and O's, it's the Willies and Joes.
And they were just better than us, and I got my ass kicked. And the kids would come off the field and go, "Coach, we can't stop them." I'm like, "Yeah, I can see that. You got to have a play, Coach." It doesn't matter what play we're coming from. They're just better than us. Let's just get out of here and go have ice cream. All right, kids, let's go.
All right. So we also, when it gets more in season, we're going to talk heavy college basketball. We're going to give you a brief taste of college basketball so far. It has begun. We're now in week 2 of college basketball. Later this week starts some of their preseason tournaments, if you will. And then heavy on Thanksgiving week next week is some preseason tournaments as well. Some of the teams we support are VCU.
Hold on, nerd stop. Tantor would be a hell of an uncle, I feel. Well, the aunt threatened to have a restraining order because he took the nephew to a bar. So
Norm.
What the heck, man? Almost 21. Goes to college, goes to Alabama, right? Everybody at Alabama's drinking.
So it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We support VCU, we support Georgia Tech, we support Auburn, and then we give a little possible love to Coastal Carolina. But there's other games going on as well. And so for those of you who haven't been watching college basketball yet, there's actually some great finds. And this past Friday night, Arizona went into Cameron Indoor and beat Duke. And so anytime you can go into Cameron Indoor and beat Duke, that's a good thing. That was a great game. It's what's going to be called as a quad 1 victory, because the way that the NCAA tournament works, they actually have
time out. People that are listening in and going to listen into this don't know that Coach has a formula for predicting his basketball at the end of the year that's nationally known, usually finishes in the top 20 among sports prognosticators. I can even say it. And you should really teach a math class. That's the only math you know. And you should come down to Tech and teach that math class on your algorithm on predicting winners in the NCAA and who makes the field and where it's at and everything else. Nobody else knows that but me. I know how the sausage is made on that. And quite frankly, it's really scary and quite boring.
Very nerdy, I will admit. People tease me all the time that if I do that in between going to my Star Trek conventions, but it's what I know, and I think unfortunately it's what I'm good at. But yes, I am part of Bracket Matrix. I do usually finish in the top 25, which is higher than people like Joe Lenardi. I feel like I've done better than him probably easily 4 out of the past 5 years. Um, but yes, so the way it works, folks, if you don't
We
know
don't want
real
to know
fast,
how it works. Don't- We'll
okay,
save that for another one.
all right, well,
March Madness. We'll do a show in March Madness when there are actually basketball people interested, and we'll do it then.
all right.
But I bow to your superior college basketball acumen.
Here's what you need to know real fast. Arizona beat Duke. That's a good thing because one, anytime Duke loses, that's a good thing.
Oh,
Arizona,
anytime Duke loses anything's a good thing.
yes. So that was a
Period.
great game. College basketball is going on during the weekdays. If you don't want to catch some action, always look for college basketball. There's our college basketball segment. Phil, you and I think we see eye to eye once again. How do we see eye to eye so much?
I don't know. You're about an inch taller than me.
I didn't. Can you describe him? Well, he's Caucasian. He's 6'3", mustache. That's a mighty big mustache.
Yep.
Yeah. We both are supporters of Major League Soccer, and we're gonna just.
I'm a soccer nerd.
We're gonna touch base on this real quick.
Nerd. I love the game.
But Major League Soccer created up their schedule, earlier last year, and they created something called the Leagues Cup, where they combined all of the Major League Soccer teams and all the Mexican teams, paused their season, played an in-season World Cup style tournament, and finished that. Inter Miami won the championship. Messi held up the golden ball. It was a great moment. It was a great tournament. It was fun to watch. Then they went on for about 2 more weeks. Then they had an international break. And then they had the final 10 days of their regular season. Then they created their new format of their playoff format, where 8 and 9 had a play-in game. Then the round of 16 from the East and the West met in a best 2 out of 3 over the course of 28 days to play, and then a single elimination knockout another 12 days from now. It's the format has crushed Major League Soccer interest. The time off for the international break, the conclusion of the season was horribly timed.
Yeah, Nerd Stuff says, why is the first round best of 3? It's stupid. That's why. And they blame number one, it's a money grab. Number 2 is that they don't think the American audience can understand aggregate score.
It's the most you're competing, and this is American culture. All right. And this is the thing soccer, the MLS doesn't get. You're competing with American culture. So the moment week 0 in college football starts up, you're losing everybody down south. All right, I can't speak for the Northeast. I can't speak for the Pacific Northwest, but in the down south and in the Midwest, you're losing everybody the week. Let's just make it even more of a round number. Labor Day weekend, you're losing everybody, and so I'm highly disappointed on how the MLS format is playing out. I still root for Orlando City; they're still alive, but it's hard. It's hard to follow. It's hard to watch. Because we do live in America. You're right. So
yeah, and I still watch Atlanta United, but they're playing well, except for this week and last week they did the weekday games. And here's my recap of Atlanta United getting crushed. It was a great game to watch. 6 goals were scored. It was exciting. It was in line to end line. And for people that want to see a lot of goals and a lot of action, that's a game for you. Atlanta United sucks. They got beat. They don't play defense. And the better team won. I think Columbus Crew might win the whole thing this season.
And there we have it.
That's all you need to know about Major League Soccer right now.
Major League Soccer should start around the day after the Super Bowl, and they should conclude
look, they could start Major League Soccer January 3rd. Well, no, 6th. As soon as the college football championship's done, start Major League Soccer, and the championship game needs to be played on Memorial Day. Labor Day weekend, and be done with it.
That Friday night.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, it's just they gotta take in consideration American culture, and it might jump hockey, it might even jump baseball or pro basketball. It's never going to jump college football, and it's definitely
Baseball's a
never going to.
regional sport.
Yeah, it's never going to jump. Nothing's ever going to jump the NFL. So why compete against it? Embrace it. Embrace who you are, and maximize your potential and your viewing audience. That's my thoughts.
Well, we don't disagree on that. You're not going to get eyeballs when you're trying to go against college football and the NFL. Period. End of story.
All right, we're up to our final talking point of today's segment, and we do thank y'all for staying with us and watching, and hopefully it's been fun for y'all to interact with, and we're going to do this more often.
Yeah. Rec Talk wants to know about the MLS schedule competing with college football. MLS schedule goes on until beginning of October, and then they have their 2-month, 3-month playoffs, and they have to work in the international breaks in there. So the championship game's not going to be until
December. And yeah, it's just it's not a good fit. It's not. They just, like I said, they don't realize who they're up against or care. And maybe the Pac-12 commissioners making their schedule. I don't know. So
it's a good way to be extinct.
Final topic is the world of the NFL. We're obviously more pro than college. I am more college than pro, but
definitely college.
Yes. Yeah. I said it backwards and caught myself halfway through, but we still support the NFL because at the end of the day, these kids, the best of the best, do move up and get to go. So Phil, in the world of the NFL, what's been your most pleasant surprise so far this season?
Pleasant surprise. I would have to say that seeing Miami lay that many points on Denver made me smile. Because let's face it, that jackass coach in Denver, he had it coming.
So here's what's surprising me the most, and I'm afraid to say I like it. How good Houston is.
Well, they're going to have the rookie of the year.
Yep.
Stroud.
And how is it that one Ohio State quarterback is better than all the other?
That's where I was going to. It's like he's the exception to the rule. You stay the hell away from Ohio State quarterbacks at the next level. And then this kid comes in and just kills it. I mean, I watch, I don't have a pro team any longer. They changed their name and quit. So the closest thing I've got to a pro team is the Raiders, and I love to see them when I go out to Vegas. And they're starting a rookie from Purdue, and that's how I look at them. I'm looking at, hey, that kid's from Purdue. So when I watch a pro game, it's like, who's this kid play college for? And Texans, man, I'm a huge Stroud fan now, and I hated him when he played for Ohio State. But now that he's with the Texans, he's great. I love him.
And it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. And
then I find myself watching the Chargers all the time because I like to watch Herbert play, from Oregon. So, like I said, it's all college. It was good. And I hate the Rams because they've got 2 Georgia quarterbacks and they can all lose every week and they all go to hell.
Just like I'm a Jaguars fan because their backup running back, or at least our alternate, I don't know if there's such thing as backup anymore. Their number 2 running back is Tank Bigsby. So when you have that going for you, Luke's big Eagles fans because
Rec Talk wants to know about going to Vegas and counting cards. Do not count cards in Vegas. They frown upon that from experience.
The only cards that you
can count cards.
The only cards that you can count in Vegas are the business cards that you receive from the models on the street, shall we say?
Oh, they're everywhere. My game is dice, so I am all over craps. I will be there. Matter of fact, I think I've been texting you from the craps table a lot of times, and I gotta run. I just rolled for 40 minutes, and I'm up $1,500. I gotta leave.
See, that's dangerous waters for me. I can't do that.
I love it. Absolutely. It's a good way to lose money,
I
and you can.
I
mean,
could
in
lose your
30
money real
minutes,
fast for you.
I mean, just on a $25 table, one throw of the dice can be $200 or $300, and in 5 minutes you can be up $2,000 and you can be down $2,000, and you just got to go. I mean, it's just better than drugs, man. Especially that. Remember that I was talking about that night I played between the Filipino hooker and the Samoan, and I caught COVID from them. That was awesome. That was the best night of my life, man. That was awesome.
Let's go get tested because one of us may or may not have been with a Brazilian stripper.
I haven't done a Brazilian stripper yet, but it was a Filipino hooker and a Samoan.
That's Tantor, Tantor.
The Samoan made me look small.
Which, if you've seen Tantor in person, let's just say he doesn't wear an adult medium. So, all right, let's go back.
You must have. There's some type of root that they've gotten. He was telling me all about it. I was like, dude, I've had so many drinks tonight. I can't remember this stuff. Oh no. Anyway, I love Samoans. They're great. Never met a bad Samoan.
Aren't those the little Girl Scout cookies that come in the purple boxes?
No.
So, yeah. All right, let's conclude it with this. Who you liking right now as far if we had to go to Vegas or Biloxi and say right now I see these two teams meeting in the Super Bowl?
Okay, I've already placed bets on that.
I know you have, but now we're going to fast forward to today's time with current standings.
Well, unfortunately, my bets are not going to come through. I would say.
Well, I know you're missing on the Falcons winning the division.
I'm missing that one, but that's okay. My bets are Kansas City and San Francisco. Is who I said met in the Super Bowl. That's my futures right now. Kansas City, and we all know I won last year. I won the futures last year, and that bank rolled me pretty damn well. This year, unfortunately, I think from the NFC we're going to see Philly again. And that, although I like Jalen Hurts, man, and from his Oklahoma days, you can go to hell from the Bama days, but I count him as a Sooner. So Jalen Hurts, I wouldn't mind him seeing him win a ring. It wouldn't hurt me. From the AFC, I'm gonna go. I hate to say it, but I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Well, Phil, that's who I had until. They look good until the 5-minute mark, but I had the Ravens as my preseason prediction because I just think Kansas City's due to finally lose to not get into the Super Bowl. So I picked the Ravens as Ravens and Eagles, and so I'm looking like a genius right now, but I have 0.0 faith in my entire picks. It's going into it because
Rec Talk wants to know how many units do I place on one bet. It really depends. The weekly stuff, I don't do a whole lot unless I'm there. If I am in Vegas and I'm sitting at the sports book or at the craps table with the TV above and we're playing craps and it's really awesome. You got the TV going. They got like 4 games up. You're playing craps. You're throwing. You're going to drop some money. And I usually go between 1 and 5 as far as betting per game. When I do my futures, the minimum I do a future is 100, but most of the time I go 1,000. And I choose, I choose odds because as I told Coach, when you do a future, make it so that if you win
big.
You win big, and it kind of changes things. So, I generally do 2 trips a year to Vegas. If you throw a bunch of money down and you got 14-1 odds on Philly and you blow it open and you got a whole pile of hundreds, you can go every other month and it's cool. And you can spend a lot of money on shows and food and everything else, and it doesn't matter because you're playing with the money of the casinos, man. And I like to recycle money. I can't take it with me in my coffin. It's not going to have a bunch of cash. It's going to be completely empty and a fat dead body. I'm going to spend all that shit while I'm alive. My kids are going to have zero inheritance, and they already know it.
And there is Tantor's advice on how to bet for the week. Hey, folks, we hit the 1 hour mark.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you much. Subscribe to us.
His mouth.
We're going to do this. We're going to start doing this on a regular basis. So thank you all, and we will catch you next time.